Good evening, everyone. We're going to call tonight's meeting to order. I'd like to begin with the approval of tonight's agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Stevens and Councillor McIntosh. All in favor? And that's carried. Are there any disclosures of direct or indirect pecuniary interest? I do have one tonight, 13.1.3, which is the Business Improvement Area Levy, and also the associated bylaw at 17.1. I have to declare a conflict because my daughter works for them through the farmers market. So I will be declaring a conflict, and Deputy Mayor will chair those items when they arise. We had no closed meeting today, so we will start with the open meeting. And we will begin, as we always do, with the singing of our national anthem. I'll ask that you rise if you're able. We would like to acknowledge the treaty lands and territory of the Williams Treaty Nations and of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We also recognize that Dufferin County is the traditional territory of the Wendat and the Haudenosaunee and is home to many Indigenous people today. Tonight's meeting is being aired on public television and or streamed live and may be saved for later public broadcast or webcast. Your name is part of the public record and will be included in the minutes of tonight's meeting. If there are any members of the public connecting via telephone, you're reminded to press *9 to raise your hand and to indicate intention to speak, and to dial *6 to mute and unmute when called upon during the appropriate portions of the meeting. While we didn't have a closed meeting today, we do have a Rise and Report. Item 10.2 was the Rise and Report recommendation, which was regarding 5.1 from the April 27th meeting. The recommendation is that the confidential staff report CMS 2026-13 be received and that staff proceed as directed. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Andrews and Councillor Sherwood, all in favor? And that is carried. We do have some previous council meeting minutes from April 13th and the special council meeting on April 27th, as well as the public meeting on April 27th. Can I have a mover and a seconder to approve those? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Andrews, all in favor? And that is carried. We'll move into open forum where Orangeville residents have the opportunity to present your views or pose a question to council on any subject within council's jurisdiction for a maximum of 3 minutes, provided they have not previously addressed the same topic before council within the last 3 months. Was there anybody connecting via telephone? Okay, so we'll move to the gallery. Was there anyone in the gallery who wished to go? Go ahead, Michelle, if you want to come up to the counter. We'll get your mic turned on for you, and then we just need your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Good evening, Michelle Hartley, Morgandale Crescent. I'm here representing Pathways with Evan, who would like to have a few minutes to speak. Just very briefly, I'd like to introduce what Pathways is. Pathways is a day program where I work frontline with a colleague, and I'm employed by Pathways. Pathways is not mine, and I support 5 adults with autism and different special needs. We have a vision, mission, and value to be very inclusive with our town. We don't intend to grow the program, but we intend to give back as much as we can. So Evan has some exciting news. I hope that this will be very informative to you. Your name and your street.
Good evening. My name is Evan McEachran. My address is 87 Pheasant Drive, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of Pathways Orangeville. This past Saturday, Pathways Orangeville hosted its first annual Spring Fling at Tony Rose in the Dufferin Room. The event went well. People from CLD and Carey's Place attended. We had music and dancing, and there were prizes. I would like to thank all of our local businesses who donated prizes. We are planning to host another event in September or October. And we were wondering if there was a proposal or grant application to help with costs. Finally, I would like to invite all members of this council to come out to this event that we are planning for the fall.
Okay, so if I could just for a minute, Evan, we did find out that in January, we can apply for a grant. So we have to dance some more in September and show off our little, but what we did to share, the room was packed. We had about 60 people with special needs and their support workers. Support workers were free, coming and going. We had parents who brought their children that live with them at home, and the parents were enjoying the lobby while their children were enjoying the dance. We had a competition for the twist. Oh, you should see this man move. We had a Congo line go through the lobby, and we waved to the receptionist, and we waved to everybody. So it was a great time. We hope that you can come out, and thank you again for everybody's support. I would also like to celebrate something. I am big about celebrations. Evan recently became a St. John Ambulance certified first aider. So, yeah. Thank you for your time.
Congratulations, Evan. That's great to hear. I do have some questions for you as well. So it
Okay.
looks like Councillor Sherwood has a question for you.
All right.
Thank you, through your worship. I actually don't have a question, but Evan, I just wanted to thank you very much for coming in front of us today and telling us about all the exciting things that Pathways are doing. And I just want to let you know, I follow you on Facebook, so I have seen those dance moves and they rock. So you should hold some dance lessons because I sure could use some. Thanks, Evan.
And like you said, you found out that there is a community grants program, so that'll open again after the budget process next year. So there will be a good opportunity. So thank you so much for your time today. Was there anybody else who would wish to speak during open forum? Yeah, go ahead, James. We'll get the mic turned on for you, and then you know the drill. We'll just need your name and address.
Thank you. My name is James Jackson. I live at 50 Carlton Drive. I'm actually not coming up here to, I'm up here as a representative of MS Canada, and I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Andrews, Councillor Andrews, our Mayor, Lisa Post, and Councillor Stevens for doing the flag raising and the proclamation. And I'm proof that even the strong can trip, and it's metaphorically speaking. I didn't make it out for the first time ever. I didn't make it for the proclamation and the flag raising, and I wanted to say thank you on behalf of MS Canada for doing it with my absence. Thank you.
Thank you, James, and thank you for all the work that you're doing as the ambassador for the county. We really appreciate the work that you do, and missing one flag raising is absolutely okay. Was there anybody else in the gallery who wished to ask a question? Mr. Christo, we just need your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, my name is Nick Garisto. I live on 20 Paula Court, L9W5V1. My question tonight, which is very dear to me, a lot of people that telling me, is the town is still out there filling those potholes and those ruts and those roads. Special blind line. There is one there, and every time I come down, my car, it bumps up and down, you know, so I was wondering if your staff still out there and do those.
Mr. Kozlak?
No, through your worship. Yep, staff have been out since the snow melted, filling potholes. This year, with the considerable melt we had and the winter, there's more potholes than normal this year and last year, so they are still catching up. If people do see a pothole and they want to report it, we have a C-click fix. You can go in there and report it. That way staff are aware of it and they can go out and make sure it's taken care of.
That's why I raised the issue, because, you know, special blind line, when you go north on blind line, and then on the south way, just past the school there is one there, it's really bad, so maybe concentrate on those, and some even on Broadway though. So
Any ones that you see, if you can report that on ClickFix, that would be really helpful, and then staff can get out
Yeah,
there.
but they're there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
the
If you
only
can just
thing-
report the location, I'm not doubting that they're
Yeah,
there. You
like
just
I
need to
said-
report the location
Like I
for
said,
us.
past Broadway here, past the light on First Street, you have a few there.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Christo.
Okay?
Ms. Linebeer? We'll just get the mic on for you, and then we need your name and address for the record, please.
Tamara Linebeer, 8 Feed Street. Good evening, Madam Mayor, CAO Smith, and Council. I'd first like to note that I'm making these comments during this public forum because, as per the town's procedures, delegation requests cannot be submitted after the agenda has been released. Since this item appears on tonight's agenda, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to it at this time. I'd like to acknowledge and appreciate the direction that's being taken to bring in a temporary part-time municipality accessibility professional. I see this as a positive step and a constructive step forward. Accessibility is an important part of ensuring all residents can fully participate in municipal services, public spaces, and civic life. Having a dedicated expertise available can help strengthen the town's approach and support continued progress. I hope this opportunity leads to an ongoing collaboration with residents and members of the disability community so that lived experiences continue to help inform improvements moving forward. I appreciate the willingness of staff and administration to recognize these concerns and begin taking action. I look forward to seeing the positive outcomes that come from this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Linebeer. I agree with everything you've just said, and there will definitely be lots of consultation with the community to make sure that we're addressing the right items at the right time. So thank you for all your continuous feedback. Thank you. Was there anyone else in the gallery who wished to speak tonight? Okay, then we will move into our presentation, petition, and delegation. We do have Rob Kokok, Amy Long, and Gia DeJulio from Orangeville Hydro, if you want to come on up. We'll get the mic turned on for you, Gia, and then over to you.
Thank you very much. Mayor Post, Deputy Mayor Taylor, members of council, and fellow guests. Thank you very much for inviting us this evening to present to you. My name is Gia DeJulio, and I have the honor of chairing the board of Orangeville Hydro. And as you are aware, Orangeville Hydro is your well-managed electricity distribution company. And it continues to be measured by its regulator, the Ontario Energy Board, as a top-tier performer with respect to operating efficiency, customer service delivery, power quality reliability, and financial metrics. Over the past year, these capabilities have served the residents and businesses of Orangeville very well, and also brought much appreciated dividends to the town's treasury. I am very proud of the success of Orangeville Hydro, and I know that my fellow board members, including Mayor Post and Councillor McIntosh, share my pleasure at the company's achievements. If you have any questions for me, I'd be pleased to answer, and otherwise, I defer to the expertise of Rob Kokok and Amy Long. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Gia. And thank you, Council, Mayor Post, Council, town staff, for having us again this evening. Always enjoy when we have a chance face-to-face to chat. So before Amy walks through a few of the financial highlights, I'll say a few words, but we're going to do it a little different than the past. Instead of walking you through a presentation that you've already seen, I'd like just to have a little bit of a dialogue. Amy will say a few things. I'll do some closing remarks, and then we'll get right into the questions. So I want to take a minute to connect the business plan to where Orangeville Hydro is going, what we're thinking. The business plan is about the fundamentals: safe operations, reliable service, responsible capital investment, cost control, regulatory compliance, and continued value to our municipal shareholders. That's the practical work of a local distribution company, an electric utility like us. It is essential work, and it remains our core job. The reason we can speak with confidence about the future is that those fundamentals are in good shape today. Orangeville Hydro is lean, reliable, efficient, and we're careful with our costs. Those have to stay. So that does show up in our day-to-day work and is also supported within the document by the Ontario Energy Board's PEG benchmarking, where Orangeville Hydro performs in the top efficiency group. And the bigger point is not the benchmark itself. It is that we are planning for the future from a position of strength. We have breathing room and we're fiscally strong. At the same time, the environment around us is changing. Growth is real, electrification is becoming more visible, customer expectations are higher, cyber risk and climate risk are no longer theoretical, and infrastructure needs are increasing, and the electricity system is getting more complex, upstream of us and downstream of us. So as we look toward the next strategic period, our thinking is focused. We're not trying to be everything to everyone. We are focused in the areas where Orangeville Hydro can deliver clear value. Reliable capacity and cost discipline, modern service, and system readiness for growth, electrification, and distributed energy resources. For us, reliability and cost discipline are non-negotiable. We have to maintain the system, plan for capacity, and do it in a way that respects the customer bill and protects the value of the utility to the municipal shareholders. Modern service is also part of this. The customers should be able to get clear information, handle common interactions easily, and still reach a real person when they need. That matters in a local utility, and it matters to the way Orangeville Hydro serves our communities. And on electrification, our role is to be ready, practical, and honest. We need to understand the grid impacts, plan ahead, and provide accurate information without moving beyond our role as a local electricity distributor. So the direction is simple: protect the fundamentals that make Orangeville Hydro strong today, and prepare the system, the service model, and the organization for what our communities will need in the future. Over to you.
Thanks, Rob.
I need that.
Very close. So just looking at a couple of more financial metrics through the business plan, getting into a little more specifics. Looking at our distribution revenues over the 5-year forecast, in the business plan, pages 13 to 15, we try and balance keeping our rates low for our customers, as well as ensuring that our distribution revenues can cover the increased expenses that relate to the changing electricity environment that Rob has spoken about. Our distribution revenues are increased annually by a rate set by the Ontario Energy Board, which has an inflationary component and an efficiency component. As we are considered one of the most efficient utilities in the province, our rates are not reduced by the efficiency component, so we received the full inflationary increase, which was 3.7% in 2026. Looking at capital expenditures on page 18 to 23 of the business plan, our capital expenditures are paced throughout the next 5 years, with voltage conversion being a continued theme. Increases in system access categories you'll see typically have to do with subdivision connections. Our system renewal includes planned and unplanned replacement of transformers, meters, and poles. System service fluctuates as it mainly relates to voltage conversion projects, and contractor costs can significantly affect the cost of these jobs depending on the type of work being completed. Details of these projects are on page 23 of the business plan for your information. And then on pages 24 to 27 in the plan, our operating, maintenance, and administrative expenses increase year over year by an estimated inflation rate. We have factored in costs for new projects, such as the updated customer portal that will go live this year, as well as our new GIS system, and have also included expected increases for continuing expenses. Our goal is to keep our OM&A per customer lower than annual CPI increases, as well as lower than the average of all Ontario local distribution companies. And finally, just looking at our debt, loans are taken to fund investment in our infrastructure, progression of technologies, and management of our regulatory variances. We have planned increases to our borrowing projected for 2026, 2028, and 2030. I'll pass it back to Rob for some final comments.
Yeah. Time for final comments? Do you want to get right into it? All right. So I'll close just by, this will be quick, close by saying that the business plan that you were provided is practical by design. It's about keeping Orangeville Hydro reliable, financially stable, and accountable to the communities that own us. We're in a strong position, but the sector, as I said, is changing quickly. Growth, capacity, cyber risk, climate risk, customer expectations, and electrification all require continued disciplined planning. Our goal is simple: protect what makes Orangeville Hydro strong today and prepare for what this community will need tomorrow. Reliable, efficient, local, accessible, and financially responsible. That's our core focus. I hope that came through in the business plan, but if it didn't, we wanted to emphasize that over and over every time we see you. One thing I'll just say is, as we say about these risks, we could have been here 5 years ago, change a few words. There were risks then. Could have been 25 years ago. There were risks then. And that's what management and the board, as much as the way you run your municipality, is to manage those risks, find the opportunities, minimize the threats, and build on your strengths to overcome what the risks that are coming. So not bringing them up to worry, but just we're aware of them. We have our finger on that pulse, and we work day to day in order to make sure we keep going the good thing we have. So thank you for your time, and absolutely, we shorten this up to get some good questions going.
Thank you so much, Rob. I'm going to start with Councillor Andrews.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'd like to again welcome Chair DiGiulio as well as Mr. Coco and Ms. Long. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all that Orangeville Hydro has done, continues to do. Your chair identified you being a top-tier, of course, electrical provider, and that rumor, of course, is out beyond our borders. And for those of us, as well as members of council who have attended a number of different conferences, it's something that we're waving our flag about. It's something we're very proud of, and you should be too. And again, compliments to Mayor Post and Councillor McIntosh for your involvement on the board. Couple of questions, and more of a commentary before I get into the question. I wanted to thank Orangeville Hydro and our infrastructure services, because sometimes the behind-the-scenes activities that take place don't necessarily get notoriety, but it's sometimes those subtle things that make a huge difference in neighborhoods. And we've had a couple of omitted light standards, as you're probably aware of the story that I'm not going to get into detail, but what it's done, it's changed a particular intersection and it has provided some safety mitigation. And we've had a couple of those examples in our neighborhoods across Orangeville. And the collaboration is not just you being here, but it's a collaboration that you do work within our municipal framework and do so really, really well. As I was diving into your numbers, I don't need to question anything there. We've got an incredibly stable organization. But I think I've asked this question before, Mr. Coco, and this is pertaining to succession planning. You have 20-ish employees, and they seem to be at that point in their careers. And again, one other comment and compliment, thank you for being a part of the farmers market this weekend too. It was great to see the kids having some great time on that bucket that was going up. But succession planning, that's my first question. Training is one thing, but as much as you have a stable employment group, are you looking at anything from that point of view from a succession planning? Because dynamics change, employees change, their interests change. Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, you identified the exact, one of the real challenges as a small organization with 20 staff is you're not going to have duplication in every role. You just can't. But you can still try when, whether it's vacations for coverage and opportunities to grow within the organization and ensuring others are aware of what other roles are. We do have movement within the company. Those that start in customer service end up in Amy's department in finance. But from a management perspective, we keep a close eye on the up-and-comers and in our organization, make it the future of our organization, do our best to retain them. And for those that, the areas that we may not have duplication or opportunity for internal succession, we need to be well aware of what the job market is and what's out there for us to attract if we can't retain. And that's a constant theme for our management team to give the board confidence that we're doing that, and as well as to ensure we're comfortable and can sleep at night. And from my position, I can sleep at night that if I lose a key member of the team, if they win that lottery and they're on a beach, who's next? And so that's a constant focus for us. It has to be.
Excellent, thank you. I have one more quick question. You talk about sleeping at night, and I know that you've been very kind to forward to a number of members of council, all of us on council staff, when of course there's some unfortunate winter-related outages. One item that came up recently, and Councillor Sherwin and I were attending a conference in Parry Sound, and I had the opportunity to speak with some members from other municipalities, and certainly maybe on your radar is unfortunately what we call copper theft. How are you, in fact, dealing with that? And again, I know you deal with our police services, but there were some interesting side conversations over coffee on how this seems to be more problematic than ever before, and we do have some examples that some of us on council, I think all of us remember. Just like to hear maybe your thoughts on that.
I know the municipality, you've dealt with metal theft. We've always dealt with copper theft. It's definitely on the rise over the last 20 years, even more so in the last 6. And it's, we're not, it's not like it's being stolen out of our yard or our building. It's stolen on one of our many 2,200 poles within our service territories that we don't have a person looking at every day. With that said, we do inspect our system. Just, you might have seen a Facebook and X post about us doing pole inspections on the east side of Orangeville. 600 of our poles were recently tested, and those inspections, while they're tested, they're also inspected, and we flag where any copper theft is. And unfortunately, we're just have to repair it at our own cost. That we can report it, but it's very challenging. We understand the limitations of the police force. We don't know when it was stolen. We don't know how long ago it was stolen. What we do know is it puts the individual that's stealing it at risk for their safety and degrades the safety of our system and puts the public at risk. So it's absolutely unacceptable, but it's a very challenging position for us other than to just to fix it. What we're doing to mitigate it is we do look at options in the right place, the right time to just not install copper. So we'll install copper clad where it's steel, but copper cladding, so we get the performance we need, but it has no scrap value. One of the challenges is it still looks like copper, so we don't know until they're at the scrapyard that it's useless. So those are the challenges that every electrical entity in the province is dealing with. We try signage, we try deterrence. I guess to give some comfort for the town of Orangeville, we're definitely not the worst in the province. There are other areas of the province that are dealing with much more challenges. So kudos to the police force and kudos to having a safe community.
And that came across in the conversations we had. We're not obviously, high on the radar, but at the same time, it defies the odds and the stupidity of individuals who would end up risking their lives regardless of what the value is of that particular copper. That's all I have, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Andrews. Deputy Mayor Taylor.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Good to see you, Rob and Amy, and I thank you to the chair for being here this evening. Madam Mayor, just before I go into the questions, I just want to share a brief story, if that's okay. So when you're sitting in these chairs and a report such as yours comes across, this is not the expertise of people who sits in these seats to be able to understand how a hydro commission works. Water, Mr. Koslak, would be the other one that I think, we've all had to educate ourselves and learn. So when you send a report like that as part of our package, and candidly, I got to it on Sunday and started to read and realized that there was a whole bunch of things in there that I didn't understand. I wasn't, what I did, everyone, is I sent a long list to Mr. Coco last night and said, these are my questions that I want to ask in council, and I didn't want to surprise him, and I copied the 2 members of our council team who were on that committee and asked the questions. And it wasn't about trying to embarrass or create unnecessary work. I feel like it's my obligation as a member of council to understand what's going on. If you're going to take the time to put forward a report that's got the details in it that it does, then I owe you the respect to not only to read it, but to try my best in my limited intellectual ability to understand exactly what you're saying. So I sent forward quite an expansive list of questions that I had, and Mr. Coco responded on Sunday night, which is incredible to me, and I thank you for doing that. And I wanted you to know publicly you did not need to do that, and it was not my intent to cause you extra work, but I do appreciate your professionalism and dedication to what you do, which is what I knew ahead of time. And then on top of that, Rob insisted on having a phone call today to make sure that I fully understood what we were talking about before we went in. So I'm just very grateful for your time, and I want the public to know the amount of work that A, went into it, and then B, trying to prepare us who have questions as we go. So we did end at a spot where Mr. Coco said it would be okay if I asked some of my questions. So may I do that? So I won't go to all of them, but I thought what would be of interest to people that from a higher level tonight versus what you and I went through in great detail today. And I do think it's interesting to talk about the ways that the utility is working with the public to reduce the energy costs. And, would be number 2 on what I had asked you about. And it's basically, what are the 4 formal programs that you're doing to reduce energy costs, and how are you linking in with the public to do that? And then, Madam Mayor, if it's okay, I'd like to keep going, if that's all right.
So, yeah, focusing on the ways we are able to interact and hopefully help our customers reduce their energy costs. So I'll talk about 4 formal programs that we do try our best to promote through our website and social media channels, and when our customer service team have an opportunity to talk to whether it's at an event, doing bucket truck rides, or when customers call in to talk about their bills. And then, of course, some bill stuffers now and again, too. So the 4 formal programs are, I'll start with 1, Ontario Electricity Support Program. That's a provincially run program that helps low-income customers reduce their bills at the source. So not asking for funding afterwards. It's an income-tested application process through the Ontario Energy Board, and it actually applies meaningful discounts to low-income bills. And it's an income-tested as well as tests how many people are in the home. And so it's a residential support program that we really would like everyone that thinks they might be eligible to look at our website, to look at the Ontario Electricity Support Program. It does provide meaningful assistance. Another income-tested program is the Energy Affordability Program. So not money on the bill discount, but upgrades to your electricity system, for energy efficiency programs in the home. And that's income-tested as well. There's also the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, and that is for those that are low-income customers that might be disconnected because they're unable to pay their bill and are going through real challenges of paying and are really behind. They can work with us and Dufferin County, who has a great team to work with customers and this is one of their many programs that they can have to help reduce their bill when they're in a challenging time. And another one is the Save on Energy program. So that's anyone and everyone can access the Save on Energy program to, again, energy efficiency appliances, heat pumps, which use more electricity but reduce your natural gas usage, insulation, solar, batteries. There's a lot of different equipment and efficiency programs you can now apply for. And this is, again, provincial funding that can help you reduce the electricity usage in your home and reduce your overall energy usage within your home. When you think of natural gas and electricity. The Save on Energy program is not just for homeowners. There is the, where'd it go here? The Peak Perks. This is a really good one that I'm even a part of. So not only can you get a discount when you buy a smart thermostat, you can also bring your own device if you already have one. And if you register for the program, you'll get a $75 gift card for the first year, $25 every year after that, and you'll be able to have your thermostat reduced when the province needs some help. On the hottest days of the year, it'll go back a couple degrees. If you're home and you're busy and you have company, you can turn it back up. You're still eligible for the program. But if you're away and not home, great. The program helps the province, and you don't even notice. Helps the grid, and you don't even notice. And then there's business, small business, energy efficiency programs for the commercial, industrial, hospitals, municipal programs. Save on Energy will sound familiar to the municipal staff. It's still here. You've done it in the past, but the programs are still there for your facilities. If there's anything else you'd like to know about, you can call us.
That's great. I guess to me, when I read that initially, I was starting to think, what are those programs and how does everyone find out about it? And what I've learned in this role is most people need to be told 2, 3, 4, 5 times before it sort of sets. And I'm not challenging the intelligence of our people. I'm just saying that's general human nature, right? So it's, I guess moving forward, it would be great to work together. Maybe it's just me following your site and sharing these things out as they come along. I'm not sure, but be good to know those as we go. The other piece was about engaging customers at the individual level. So it talks about customer service being better. I did, through our conversation, phone Orangeville Hydro today, and I'll be honest, it was a little bit difficult with the phone system. So I'm wondering if you could give examples here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do an annual customer survey, 1 year safety related, 1 year customer satisfaction related. And we also listen to, so that customer satisfaction survey, best part about it is the open commentary at the end, that last question, anything else you'd like to say. And that's where customers tell us what they really think. So that survey, in addition to the complaints we get over the phone, from our emails, we're aware of some of the touch points when customers try to interact with us, and it doesn't go the best. Unacceptable. So what we're doing this week, we're going live with a new phone system, moving away from the old copper lines, moving to this day and age, voice over IP system, because we've had some unreliable phone issues during the time that you cannot have unreliable phone issues. During large outages, you lose a couple lines because the phone system's at its peak. That can't happen. So we're going live with a new phone system this week. Shortly after we go live with the new phone system, we'll go live with a new after-hours call center. That after-hours call center, we had a long-time provider, and I'll speak candidly. They were bought by a conglomerate. That conglomerate upped the price. That conglomerate started to outsource some of the calls during peak periods to non-Canadian locations. So in this geopolitical environment, when someone picks up in another jurisdiction, when we're supposed to be elbows up and support Canadian, that's unacceptable. So we're moving to an after-hours call center that is electricity distributor focused. They know our sector. They'll be able to help our customers at near level that our own staff can after hours. With 20 staff, we can't have 24/7 coverage. People do need to sleep. So we do have a call center for after hours. They'll be able to help a little bit more. In addition, they'll have some more advanced functionality, a chat bot for those that would like to use a chat bot. They'll be able to help us with our social media, so that for those that would like to use social media. For those that want to call in, hopefully there'll be less callers because of the social media presence, the chat bot presence, the outage map presence. So those customers that would like to speak to a human will get a human when they call, because we'll have a more reliable bandwidth on the phone system to get them to the call center. We'll also do a dedicated line to the call center that doesn't even touch our phone system. So 2 parallel paths, redundancy, to make sure our customers are informed in the way they want to be. These things sound obvious, but that they should have, why weren't they implemented 5 years ago? You've been here long enough, Rob. Some of the costs were a challenge. We are cost conscious. We do appreciate the bill that our customers have to pay. And so we had to wait till some of these vendor costs come down to reality, or kind of what happened with our after-hours call center, the poor call center got expensive anyways. So you might as well just go to the good one. So we had some of those things going on too. And then our new customer account portal. Our customer account portal was deployed in 2009. It looks like it was deployed from 2005, and it hasn't been upgraded. We're unhappy with the vendor. So this July, we're going live with a new mobile-first, mobile-friendly, continually updated and continually improved customer portal. And then I think those are the main ones I want to speak. I will touch, just because we're in the town chambers, and Tim's here, and some of the other staff are here too. The water AMI, that has truly helped, those smart water meters have truly helped how we can help the town with water consumers. So one of the pain points that was just inherent in our system, in the process, was we'd read a meter once a month. So if you have a leak, it could be 4 weeks till we get the read, a couple weeks of processing, 6 weeks of a high amount leak, and that's expensive for the customer, wasted water for the town, and no one's happy in the process. You would have people here asking for relief in the council chambers. Now with these smart water meters, a couple days in of a toilet running or a water softener acting up, and we're calling the customers. Now the financial is days, not weeks. It's somewhat minor, much less than it could be, and we're proactively calling, and we're getting a great reaction from the customers. They literally walk over to the toilet and say, yeah, it is running, or they say, yeah, I just had a plumber here helping with my water softener. So it's really, really helping save water, reduce costs to our customers, and feel like we're providing true value instead of just putting out fires and trying to calm customers.
It's amazing that that situation that you described. It happened to me. So we had a toilet that was running and Hydro phoned, and I was amazed. At first I was in denial, and then it turns out that that was absolutely the case. So appreciate that. Your Worship, I don't know if I'm over time, but I'm okay to keep going. The whole, that it's number 7, Rob, is where I am at. The thought about, and I don't have 10 questions, so I skimmed these things down, but I thought it was so interesting between the actual and the predictive costs. And again, my line to you was, that could be that we're amazing. It also could say that the predictive cost index is out of whack. And like when I read it, I just felt skeptical enough to wonder, and then your answer back to me was, you've nailed it, we are amazing, which I thought was humorous. But I'm wondering if you could talk to that, because it is quite a gap between the predictive index and what the actual reality is.
Yeah, I think my last sort of paragraph there, I'll say, well, I'll take a couple of these. So it's probably a combination of both. It's a combination of strong performance. Well, I guess it's not up, but just for those in the room and online that aren't looking at it. We have the Ontario Energy Board long ago, not that long ago, Gia was on the working committee, our chair was on the working committee, reached out and got a consultant called the Pacific Economics Group. I'll use that middle word, economics. So the PEG report is an econometric model. It's not real life. If it was real life, it would just be accurate. So the key point is that this OEB industry-wide benchmarking model has a real financial impact on our annual rate increases, but it does show that the Orangeville Hydro's actual costs are growing more slowly than what the model predicts, but no model is perfect. All models are flawed. That's why they're models and not real life. And so some distributors are absolutely challenged by the flaws in that model because the flaws work against them. We happen to be a utility that it builds on our strengths. So as they sort of take their base year and predict based off customer growth, inflation, interest rates, we engineer and accountant, but no economist in the room that I know of, or at least on the team. So there are some flaws in there that are predicting our costs going up. The reason we show that, it's not our budget. We do have a budget and a plan that we look at independent of that. But what we like to highlight is 2 things. One, we are much below what the predictive costs of that model are, while some of our peers are actually higher. So it does point to that we are at least directionally cost efficient. And the other point is, regardless of the flaws, that's a real model that is actually used to set our rates. So when we are in non-cost of service years, when we do, I'll say easy rate applications, Amy's the one that has to write them, they're not easy. But when we do our easy rate applications, we apply to the Ontario Energy Board to increase our rates by an inflationary amount. That amount is, if you're not in a top cohort like us, it's clawed back. And so the utilities that are in cohort 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're in 1. Those in 2, 3, 4, and 5, they'll say, you're not that efficient. You could be more efficient. The model says so. There's some fat to cut. So we're going to claw it back and force you to cut back. Otherwise, if you don't, spend what you want to spend, but your shareholder is going to feel the pain and the customers aren't paying for it. And so that's, regardless of what we think of the model, it's real and we need to respect it. So if we start trending in the wrong direction, regardless if we like it or not, because the model's is working against us, we have to react.
Gotcha. This is it, okay? The math between the 3.7% mechanism increase. So I read it, we chatted about it, but I do think it's worthwhile talking about it live in person. When I first read it, I'll be honest with you, like I deal with numbers all the time. It looked like somebody just threw me a line. And you threw me a line because you came up, you might as well have said 3.732%. And I'm not suggesting you did that. It just looked like that at first when I read it. I'm wondering if you could take us through the math of how that happens and why we're in the spot that we are.
3.7% rate increase. That would be our revenue to fund what we do, our operations, maintenance, debt costs, capital funding. So our portion of the bill, when it went up 3.7%, that was the industry-wide price cap IRM rate application, is that the OEB sets. So inflation is also sort of a fun with numbers word, because when we hear inflation, we all think CPI, right? What's Stats Canada going to put out? Of course, the Ontario Energy Board wouldn't like to pick that number. It doesn't necessarily apply to our sector, so they're right not to, but they do a weighted average. And so they're looking at last year's sort of basket of goods, kind of GDP, and wages. How have wages gone up? Not our wages, but the provincial average. So they look at the national, I'll use the term, they look at the national GDP, IDPI, it's a different inflationary one, but it's basically targeting the GDP and basket of goods. They weight that along with the average earnings of last year for increase for all employment, all the workers in Ontario that StatsCan is aware of. And then they do a 70-30 split between them. And then those two increases, after the weighted average, come out to 3.7. So the one thing, a little nuance I'll say is sometimes that number feels off to reality. And it is because it's really late. We're looking at a late year that's so it's last year's numbers are told to us this year, applied to our rates next year. So there's a lag. So when we were going through an inflationary period of inflation rising high, we were getting not the high rate that we were getting. We were getting 2-year-old CPI type levels. And so that was hard. We tighten our purse strings. Now we're on the other end of it. While the inflation's coming down and it's lower, we're getting that a little bit higher, at the higher end of the bell curve. And in a few years, if it normalizes, it'll still be around that 2-point-something.
Makes perfect sense to me. Listen, thank you so much. Again, this council reads their things, and I think it's important that we go through these things in detail, and I appreciate you taking the time and all the extra time that you spent with me today. So very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Was there anybody else who had any questions? We're good? That's it. No, thank you very much, Rob, Amy, Gia. Thank you for being here tonight. So the next item we're going to go into is the consent agenda. I have already been notified that 13.1.1, 13.1.2, 13.1.3, 13.1.4, 13.1.7, and 13.1.8 have been removed from the consent agenda. Was there any other items that I missed that anybody would like to remove? Okay, seeing none. The recommendation then is that all consent agenda items for the current council meeting listed under 13.1 staff reports, 13.2 correspondence, and 13.3 committee board minutes be received or approved as presented, with the exception of the items removed for individual consideration. And just for the clerk, I will let you know again, it's 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the rest? Councillor Andrews and Councillor Stevens, all in favor? And that is carried. So up first, we do have 13.1.1, which is the snow clearing grant program. Deputy Mayor Taylor.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Again, I don't have any issue here with the snow clearing bylaw. I think it is a wonderful, thoughtful thing to do, and I wanted to call out Councillor McIntosh for bringing this forward. I thought it was an amazing, successful thing. And I guess I just wanted to make sure that we didn't glaze by it on the agenda, because I think it should be discussed, and perhaps this little diatribe is enough, but just to be able to make sure that the public is aware that it's out there. And I did put it out on social media today to make sure that people were aware. There isn't a link on the bylaw a link to apply for the grants just yet. It's too early, but that will be coming is what my understanding is. So I don't know, more of an FYI than anything, and I think it was a great idea by you, Councillor McIntosh, so kudos to you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor McIntosh?
Yes, through you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for that. I don't want to take the credit for all of this. The Age-Friendly Committee had a lot to do with it, and the Accessibility Committee had a lot to do with it. And I was very pleased that this year, all the money was actually claimed. The year before, we didn't have all the money claimed. So, we only have so much money to go around, and unfortunately, it's first come, first served, but we did use it all this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McIntosh. Councillor Sherwood.
Yes, through you, Your Worship, perhaps the staff. I see the first year we had it, it was kind of late getting on board, so we only had 25 people. This year we had 50. Do we know how many people in excess of 50 applied and did not get any funds? I'm just wondering, do we need to expand it, or are we just a few short?
Madam Clerk.
Thank you. So we actually got the application taken down right at the end of it when we reached the maximum. So everybody that had applied received their funds before we had taken it down. And it came offline, and I myself did not receive any inquiries after it came down offline.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Was there any other questions? Okay, so the recommendation is that the report be received and that council approve the snow clearing grant program as an ongoing program, and that council approve the reallocation of the $5,000 from the Access Orangeville Committee and the $5,000 from the Age Friendly Committee to a corporate allocations operating budget for the snow clearing grant program. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor McIntosh and Councillor Stevens, all in favor? And that's carried. 13.1.2 is the accessibility improvement plan. Councillor Stevens, you had pulled that one. Go ahead.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say that I'm excited and welcome this new path forward for a part-time professional to join our team. I just want to thank Sharon Doherty and Tony DeLuce and Brandon Ward, because they've come to Access Orangeville a lot over the past 3.5 years, and they've answered tons and tons of questions about accessibility. And I don't want to take anything away from them, but I think a new person joining the town staff would be amazing. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you very much. Councillor McIntosh.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I do fully support this. I just had a question on it. Does the county have anybody in this position? Does anybody know? We don't. Okay. Is this something we could maybe piggyback with the county? Because I'm sure they could use somebody. Thank you.
CAO Smith?
Yeah, I can answer that, and thanks for the question through you, Mayor Post. So we have been working closely with the county. The CAO and I have been dialogue over the last 4 or 5 months. What you've got in front of you is a short-term request for a position. They're not in a position to double up with us at this point, but in the report it talks about doing something more permanent in 2027, and at that time, if there's an opportunity, we will do that. Through our research, we did find that there are many municipalities that share a resource, and that's certainly an option we would be happy to consider with the county.
Thank you.
Was there any other questions on that one? Okay, the recommendation then is that the report be received and that the CAO proceed with engaging an experienced municipal accessibility professional on a temporary part-time basis, and that the role be funded from the 2026 salary gapping. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Stevens and Councillor Andrews, all in favor? And that is carried. At this time, I will turn the chair over to Deputy Mayor Taylor.
Okay, we'll see, Madam Clerk, how the technology goes with me sitting here, just as I thought. Okay, so this is 13.1.3, the 2026 Business Improvement Area Levy. That the report CPS 2026-015-2026 Business Improvement Area Levy be received, and that Council adopt the 2026 BIA levies as proposed for the 2026 fiscal year. Can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Councillor Andrews. Councillor McIntosh, any commentary on this, Council? Seeing none, all in favor? Very good. So that motion passes, and we'll just get Mayor Post back in.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We'll now move into 13.1.4, which is the 2025 Annual and Summary Water Works Report. Councillor Andrews.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I do want to take just a moment to compliment and thank the staff who are involved with this particular report. As I've echoed a number of times on council, I sound either like a broken record, a broken CD, or a broken digital spec, but it's referring to water as a precious commodity. And I really started diving into this because, again, this is one of those commodities that's really, really important. And again, I want to thank publicly Ryan Adusco. I also want to thank Tim Thompson, as well as John DeHode, for your expertise, your leadership, in keeping us in the lanes that we need to be heading down. But having said that, I do have a couple of questions. And again, I want to thank the staff, in particular Ryan, for getting back to me on these particular questions. But I think for the sake of the public who may dive into this report, I'm just going to high level. I did notice that there were defined 5 exceedances and 7 non-compliance issues. And when I see that, that's not red flags, but I take note of it because I wanted to know, okay, what were the issues and or how did we end up solving them? So I see that we have Mr. Thompson at the podium there to maybe provide a response. And again, through General Manager Koselleck, I'm presuming that that's how we're going to do this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson, go ahead.
Thank you, and through your worship to Councillor Andrews. Yes, just to elaborate a little bit further on the 2 reports that were presented tonight. One is the annual Waterworks report, which reports mostly on water quality, water testing, deals a little bit with infrastructure expenses, but it's kind of a more of a water quality issue report. The summary report, which is the other one that deals with the non-compliances, that is something that we're required to present to council. Normally, it's by March 31st every year. We had to ask for an extension this year due to some workload issues. But that is where the operating authority, which is the town of Orangeville, has to provide non-conformance information so that the owner of the system, being the town of Orangeville and then through council, as the owner representatives, are aware of what's going on. So as you can imagine, the water system, operating on a municipal water system is quite a complex operation. There's a lot of moving parts. So there's almost always going to be some issues cropping up somewhere. In terms of the 5 exceedances, those were for sodium in the drinking water system. And that one's a little bit misleading because for whatever reason, and we're not quite sure, the laboratory reported them all as individual exceedances. There was 5 samples that exceeded 20 milligrams per liter. We're required to report that every 5 years so that that updated information can be provided to the health unit, who then disseminates it to the local physicians, so that they have that information to share with any patients that they have that may be on severely sodium restricted diets, because 20 milligrams per liter is not a lot of sodium in the water, so somebody would have to be on a fairly restrictive diet for that. So we're required once every 5 years to do that. Normally it's reported as one adverse water quality incident, even though there may be multiple samples that exceed the 20. For some reason, last year the lab reported each one individually, so it shows up as 5, but normally it would have shown up as just 1. So we report that to the health unit, and then that information is shared with the local physicians, and then we repeat the process again in 5 years with more updated information. In regards to the non-compliance issues in the summary report, as you may have seen in the report, it does cover a fairly wide spectrum of topics, if you will. Most of them are operational paperwork type exercises that sometimes the paperwork just happens to slip through the cracks or it's submitted late. When we work with our Ministry of the Environment inspector to deal with those, and we put in place corrective actions to help ensure that those sorts of non-compliance issues don't occur again. One of the items I did want to highlight, I believe is of interest to council, was the one item regarding the GIS mapping.
Yes.
That is, we are required under our drinking water license to keep an updated map of our waterworks infrastructure, such that when changes are made to the system within 12 months, the mapping has to be updated. In the old days, we used to do it with AutoCAD. We've since moved to the GIS-based system, and there's so whenever infrastructure is changed, we have that 12-month period to update the mapping. due to a variety of reasons, staff changes, workload issues, et cetera. And to be frank, a lack of communication between some of the interdepartmental entities. Some of those changes were not being updated within the 12-month period. It's simply a mapping exercise. One, so that the town has an accurate record of their infrastructure and its age and condition, and also for being responsible for providing locates, so that when utilities or contractors contact the town, we have a reliable mapping source that we can go and say, okay, the water main is on this side of the road, it's 5 meters from the property, et cetera. So what we've initiated recently is compliance staff have entered into pretty extensive weekly discussions with our GIS staff. We are talking to them about how we're going to implement these changes in a timely fashion so that we meet that 12-month requirement. And then after we've built up a foundation with the GIS people, we're going to then roll it out and involve people in transportation and development, capital works, et cetera. Any of the other departments that have a hand in infrastructure, either reconstruction, new development, what have you, so that everybody's on the same page and those updates can be done within the 12-month period.
Mr. Thompson, I truly want to thank you for the explanation that you've provided, not only for the questions that I posed, but again, for providing some clarity to the general public who may have no understanding of exactly what lengths you and your team go through to make sure that we have drinkable water that meets the standards of the province is very clear that we must adhere to. And again, I truly mean that genuinely and honestly. And again, I know that the inspector had some concerns about the timeliness of the communication departmentally, and I know no doubt you're going to be able to move ahead with that as you've indicated very clearly. The last point I wanted to just point out to, again, the general public, this was another conversation that took place during the most recent conference that Councillor Sherwood and I were attending, representing our municipality. And what has really transpired is you hear the complexity of the water system, but also the aging infrastructure that's existing in other municipalities. As has been put forth in our budget, which has been discussed here thoroughly, we are in a very good spot, and we are going to be in an even better spot as we move forward with some of the activities that are happening and commitments that have been made by the municipality. So again, I just want to thank you for the amount of time that you've spent in providing an answer to the questions that I posed. But again, I think it's important that our general public understands that this is a precious commodity that we take seriously in our municipality. That's all I have, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Andrews. Was there anybody else who had any questions on this item? No? Okay, so the recommendation is that report INS 2026-3, the annual and summary waterworks reports be received, and that the 2025 summary report for the Orangeville drinking water system be received, and that a copy of the 2025 summary waterworks report for the Orangeville drinking water system be forwarded to Credit Valley Conservation. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor McIntosh and Councillor Sherwood, all in favor? And that is carried. Item 13.1.7 is 73 Town Line and the recommendation report, RZ 2025-02. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you very much, Your Worship. This is a development, obviously, within town, and I always think it's important. It's a controversial thing when people are developing. I am in favor of development in our town where it makes sense, and I just wanted to comment on this one in particular. I've gone by the location, 73 Town Line. It makes perfect sense to me that we would put these additional structures where they are. I don't see much of a reason to not go ahead with this. And on top of that, the developer that we have that's put this forward has done similar work within our town already on Elizabeth Street. And I was quite pleased with that. There was some controversy to start with that, and the end result I thought was really quite compelling for the area in terms of what was put up. So I just wanted to publicly put myself out there and let people know that I am in favor of this and will be voting affirmatively for it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Was there any other questions on this item? No? The recommendation then is that report INS 2026-35, 73 Town Line be received, and that council pass a bylaw included in the bylaws section of this council meeting agenda to amend zoning bylaw number 22-90 as amended to rezone the subject lands from residential second density R2 zone to residential second density R2 zone with special provision 24.242 and residential third density, so R3 zone with special provisions 24.243 to retain the existing single detached dwelling and permit the development of 2 semi-detached dwelling units. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Andrews and Councillor Stevens. All in favor? And that is carried. Item 13.1.8 is the West Sector Reservoir Storage Tank Rehabilitation, and Deputy Mayor Taylor, that was you.
Very good. Thank you, Your Worship. Same thing. This is similar to me to Hydro. Great report. Read it. Thought it was worthwhile. However, there is a significant amount of money here that is available. We all understand now that water pays for water. In other words, the billing rates must hit it. Nonetheless, it is the public purse, and I thought it would be great if Mr. Koslak could just give us a little bit of a verbal on the rationale and what's going on here that's other than in the report. And FYI, I did copy you on it and gave my intentions ahead of time. So, yeah.
Mr. Koslak, go ahead.
Sure. Through your worship, the West Sector Reservoir was built over 30 years ago, and it hasn't been taken out of service for maintenance. What we're planning on doing with this is to be able to take it out of service. We've constructed the new standpipe by well 5, which will allow us to take this out of service for rehabilitation. We had an engineer's estimate for it. It was about $4 million. That was when we prepared the budget, and when the tender came and closed, we had pre-qualified, I believe, 3 or 4 bidders. We only had 2 people bid, and the cost was higher by about $1.8 million. So it's a significant price increase. One of the reasons, too, with the cost of materials, steel has gone up. Partly, too, I think there's been a lot of funding given out for water projects and growth projects. Results in contractors and suppliers being more in demand and having less material to provide or less employees, so costs have gone up across the board. In the report, we outlined 2 other projects that came in under budget. One was the water meters that Rob talked about. It's been a huge advantage for our water conservation. It came under budget, so we're returning that money to reserves, which will flow into this project. And the other is the Goody well treatments at well 5 and the other wells. So with that, that's improving the filter media at the wells to improve the water quality. So that came under budget. So with those 2 projects, we're putting up over $1 million back into reserves that offsets most of the additional costs we're asking for today. Just with the water tower being over 30 years since it was constructed, we have to rehabilitate it sooner or later, but it is an expensive project, but hopefully it'll last us for another 25 years.
Thank you, Mr. Koslak. Councillor Sherwood.
Yes, Your Worship, through you. Actually, Mr. Koslak just mentioned it when I wanted to point out the fact that we're fortunate enough that over $1 million is coming from funding for some budget projects that came under budget, I mean. And we're confident that the well 5 and well 5A is complete? Because I thought that was still ongoing.
Yeah,
Mr. Koslak?
Through your worship, the Goody improvements are all completed. It was replacing the filter media to be able to, and new filter structures. So it's all completed, so we won't have additional costs with that. And the water meters, I think we're down to about our last 50. So we're not expecting to need the $100,000 that we're giving back.
This is a great news story. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sherwood. Councillor Andrews?
Yes, again, through you, Your Worship, I just wanted to thank staff for this report. Sometimes spontaneity happens in a council meeting, and this is one of these questions that comes up. Again, I don't want to reference the fact that, against Councillor Sherwood and I were at this conference, but it's amazing how things foster in discussions with other municipalities that are finding themselves in a very similar type of situation. Not to say that, water towers are being built, but they are because of the aging infrastructure. You, at a previous council meeting, had indicated other creative ways that, I guess, the tendering process, and I think this is the complexity that's existing with municipalities right now, as the costs continue to rise. It's almost looking like at that crystal ball, you're not sure where you're going to get a response from. And I understand and appreciate the creativeness of the budget supporting this particular project itself, and it really is required. Is that something that can be thought of in an application like this, a project like this, or is this something that is kind of a standalone, you had to end up waiting for the tenders to come back, and this is just, of course, the cost, as we say, of doing business?
Mr. Roslek?
Yeah, through your worship. Once we started preparing the tender and having it go out, we expected the prices would come in higher than our budget. Our budget was prepared August of 2025. We expected it to be higher. Staff started preparing the report before the council or before the tender closed, just in anticipation that prices would be higher. And it's hard because some things are higher, some things are lower. Just for example, the water meters were under budget. But something big like this, you do need specialized companies. So we pre-qualified for doing the work on the water towers. I think we had 3 or 4 companies pre-qualified. Only 2 of them bid. It does sound like it's busier out there, but this is one of the projects you want to make sure you get a top-notch contractor. We don't want to have Tim's Contracting learning how to do it. It will be a noisy project. It will be a long duration. It's right in the heart of a residential area, so we want to make sure we get a top-quality contractor. And I think we've procured that.
I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Andrews. Was there any other questions? Okay. The recommendation then is that the report be received and that Council amend the 2026 to 2035 10-year capital plan to decrease the expenditure budgets in the amount of 1.068 million for the Goody Well treatment upgrades and 150,000 for the water meter and billing upgrade, both funded from the Water Capital Reserve, and that Council amend the 2026 to 2035 10-year capital plan to increase the expenditure budget by 1.894855 for the West Sector Reservoir funded from the Water Capital Reserve. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Sherwood and Councillor Stevens, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we will move then into notices of motion. I had received none ahead of the time. Was there any at the meeting today? Not seeing any. So any announcements? Councillor Andrews?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple. First of all, the call for artist submissions is currently open for artwork that would be used to cover our utility boxes in Orangeville. This initiative has been underway since 2016. A number of utility boxes that have been transformed into lively works of art and tourism attraction items. Deadline is actually surprisingly this Thursday at noon, so locations for this year's installations will consist of 1 utility box and hydro transformer at 45 First Street, a hydro transformer at Fenley Park, and a hydro transformer at 61st Street. To date, over 40 original works of art have been adoring Orangeville utility boxes, and to submit your application and artwork, you drop by the town's website. And one more, coming up on Sunday, May 31st, I know this is kind of an important plug for the Walk for Alzheimer's for the Alzheimer's Society of Dufferin County, which is being held at Island Lake. I am absolutely honored to be this year's Walk Ambassador, as I'm walking on behalf of my late mother, who suffered from dementia for 14 years, along with so many others that I know in our community who've been afflicted by this terrible disease. Calling out my fellow members of council, if you're available, please join us for the walk, calling out our community to also join us if you can. Registration is at 9 a.m. The walk begins at 10. And again, this is on Sunday, May 31st at Island Lake. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Andrews. Was there any other announcements from anybody? No. I will turn the chair then to the Deputy Mayor for 17.1, the bylaw that I need to step out for.
Okay. We'll wait for the door to close. So this is a bylaw to provide for the levy and collection of special charge upon rateable property in the Orangeville Business Improvement Area in the Corporation for the Town of Orangeville for 2026. So can I have a mover and a seconder to do this? Councillor Andrews, Councillor McIntosh. So that item 17.1 being a bylaw to provide for the levy and collection of special charge upon rateable property of the Orangeville Business Improvement Area and the Corporation of the Town of Orangeville for the year 2026 be read 3 times and finally passed, subject to Section 284.11 of the Municipal Act. Any commentary prior to passing? No, seeing none. All in favor? Very good. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you again, Deputy Mayor. So for the remaining bylaws then, that the recommendation is that all the bylaws for the current council meeting listed under 17, which is 17.2 through 4 inclusive, be read 3 times and finally passed, subject to Section 284-11 of the Municipal Act. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Sherwood, all in favor? And that is carried. And a motion to adjourn. Councillor McIntosh and Councillor Stevens, all in favor? That is carried. Thanks for joining us this evening.